Welcome back. Installment 3 in our series here, forging tongs. So we've got our 3 different tongs roughed out here, and we're basically ready to go to the assembly stage. So what happens in the assembly, first and foremost, usually there is some sort of webbing there, extra material that needs to be ground away. So I typically go over to one of my knife grinders and take that down and grind away that flashing there so that the 2 pieces mate together nicely. At this point, they're binding up. So that's usually step number 1. You can do that either using a file or angle grinder, basically anything that you can do to get in and just remove that little bit of material. From there, we drill a hole, and we're doing a 5/16 hole. Drill a hole, and I usually start by drilling my first hole in the smallest eye. I can see in this one it would be this guy here. So I center it in there, center punch, and drill out a 5/16 hole. Then from there I'm able to take that and lay it over top of my other piece and work it through its imaginary pivot point, and then I will determine where I'm going to put the hole on this one. So the reason I put the first hole in the smaller one is the second one, depending on how the function works here and where it lines up, it may not necessarily end up in the center of this mass here. So by using the bigger one, you have a little bit more real estate to be able to have the hole slightly off center. So anyway, I'm not going to show you that, but that's what I will do with these 3. Through the magic of video, we can go over here. We actually make tongs here at Thak Ironworks, and this is my employee Fish has been working on these. These are just ready to assemble, so I'm just going to steal some of his work here and actually jump right into the assembly stage. So we will take a pair of V-bit tongs. I should take a pair of pickup tongs as well, which we haven't covered in this video. So let's just take a look at that. Okay, so here we have this tongs ready to assemble. And we're going to be putting it together with a 5/16 rivet, meaning 5/16 in diameter, and it's 1.25 inches long, which tends to work out quite well on tongs of this thickness, where we started out using 5/8 square material. So you can see the 2 holes that have been drilled here, and we also countersink the inside of those holes, and that's important because that leaves a slight little buffer zone or air gap there. If you just had a straight hole there, the rivet could actually shear if it got under some sort of torque there. So by leaving a little bit of an air gap there, I've never had a problem with tongs actually shearing off, but something to look out for. So now when we put the rivet in place, you can see there is about 1/2 inch or maybe 5/8 sticking up above, which is about the right amount we want. We're going to be using a top and bottom die, so we want to form a button like this on this side. So we needed to have enough mass for that. So that's about as much material as you need to do that. So I'm going to put this in the forge now, get the rivet hot, and we are going to shut this rivet. Okay, so we're going to be using a top and bottom die to form the rivet head. So I've got the bottom die here, which is a nice button head. Top die is the identical thing here, and bottom die goes into the hardy hole of the anvil. Top die, we will come down and form the rivet. Okay, so we get the head of the rivet in the bottom die, and then usually I just give it a shot or 2 with the hammer to start setting that rivet. Put the top die in place, and just checking that it's not bending over. I want to take it down until I get a really nice tight closure on that. So I don't know if you can see with the glow on the camera there, but that has got a nice button head, which is basically the counterpart of the one on the other side here. So now we've got the tongs closed up. Now we're going to do some fine tuning on them to get them functioning properly. Okay, so I'm going to get a little bit more heat on here, and I'm going to do the final shaping. Okay, so I have the tongs hot here now. I'm going to take a piece of 1/2 inch square bar and put that into the jaws here. This is going to be the optimum setting for these tongs. And now I'm just going to close this in the vise. And I'm just aligning my center line with the reins. So this just mainly for aesthetics more than function, but it just lines things up very nicely. Also at this point, I just want to take out any twists that may be in the reins, just to get them to line up properly. Also, I'm going to just hold it. This is where I'm gripping the 1/2 inch square, so I just want it to feel like a comfortable tension in my hand, that when you're holding it under pressure, that's going to be holding that. So that's about the right placement of width for the reins for these tongs for my hand. Now we can take that piece out. Now the tongs, when things heat up, they expand. So we got their two pieces. These two pieces are swelled up and pushing against each other. So while they're still hot like this, we can move them, and moving them while hot like that burnishes the two surfaces and mates all the irregularities out and makes for a very smooth finish. So as I do that, I'm going to come over to the slack tub. So keep the tongs moving, put them in the water for a second. And as I do that, it starts tightening up. But it should burnish off those high spots. And by the time we're done, hopefully we will have something that moves freely, but at the same time is a strong joint. Okay, so now we've got a pair of tongs that will hold into position there, but as soon as you hit it with a thumb there, it's going to move. So, very sturdy joint. I'm trying to wiggle that there. There's very little movement in there. So you've got a nice sturdy pair of tongs that move very comfortably. You can manipulate them with your left hand. So that is what we're looking for. That's the assembly. Okay, I'm just going to now demonstrate what these tongs actually do, and just give me a second. I'm going to grab the other styles so you can see them. All right, and here we are at the very end. We've got 3 pair of working tongs, and I'm just going to briefly show you what they're actually used for, what that shape is for. So the blade tongs or box jaw tongs, you can see this is one for gripping 1.5 inch flat bar. The idea being that when you're trying to work flat bar, a lot of people will just grab it with tongs that just grab it like that, and it's going to always be kicking and moving out, and you can't control that piece. But by having these ears here that hold it in place, this is very secure and allows you to do a lot of movement side to side with that, and these things are going to stay perfectly in place. So a very useful pair of tongs, and especially for bladesmithing. A lot of guys making knives, this is exactly the pair of tongs that you need. So that is the box jaw. Move to the ring tongs. Here's a ring, and voila, look at that, it holds a ring. So I can't really say anything more about it there. That's basically the idea. Not only just a ring, sometimes you're just gripping things sideways. This is what these tongs are for, and it's just a very convenient way to grab that. V-bit tongs. So it's got the V in there. These tongs are also called bolt tongs. You can grab a bolt with it. So here's just a piece of round bar. This grabs that effectively, but because you've got a square V, it also grabs square bar very nicely. So it's a very versatile tool. And having this in here, you may, if you were working on an actual bolt with a head in there, you have room to accommodate that. If you're going to have one pair of tongs as a blacksmith starting out as a beginner, I would say these are the tongs that you're going to want. The V-bit are probably the most versatile, the most used pair of tongs in the shop. So there you go. Hope you found this helpful. Remember, if you want to learn more about that, I teach courses. Teaching tongs is one of the courses that we do. We cover it in the basic tool making course, but we also have an advanced tong making course. And as a blacksmith, if you're really serious about it, you need to learn how to make your own tongs, because you can see I've got over 100 pairs here, and I don't have enough for specialty jobs when I get into them. So you need to learn how to make tongs. I can show you how to do that. So leave your comments below if you got any other questions. I may have missed something. Let me know.